Hey, welcome to your weekly energy report for the first week of August 2021. I'm a little foggy right now, to be perfectly honest with you. I've been really working hard and I'm tired and I did not get enough sleep. But I'm still feeling like I'm it feels like surfing, you know? It's like I'm just riding the crest of the wave to wherever and however. And I've sort of been in acceptance of everything that's been put upon me. And so I hope that you've been finding your own ability to surrender to that energy flow. And really, in a nutshell, this whole reading is going to be somewhat about that process, which may have been why I got a precursory taste of that in order to be able to convey it more authentically. Because, okay, August is not going to be as intense as July or June for that matter, because it's really there's something more transcendental about the energy of August. However, the first week does have a couple of very strong astrological aspects that that are going to make us work pretty hard. So, what would they be? First of all, we have the Sun opposing Saturn. Now, oppositions really are more about highlighting where there's resistance in our world. And of course, Saturn is all of our traditions and all of our infrastructural boundaries. And so this dynamic sort of has an aspect of the opportunity to free ourselves of something that has been holding us in patterns that don't actually serve us. So the last week, you've probably been feeling that, where you feel slightly restricted by things, wherever that is in your um, natal chart. You're going to have it in a different part of your life. It could be as much a work thing for you as it is a social thing. But whatever it is, the pressure has been mounting around one fundamental truth, which is, are you able to put love into whatever it is that consumes your time? And are you receiving love from the things that you put time and energy into? And wherever that is true, oh God, I just thought I've got freaking blueberries in my teeth. Sorry, it's gross. Wherever that's the truth, embrace it, flow with it. However, there is, of course, a simple fact that wherever it isn't true, and I can guarantee you that there are experiences that you have been having that do not feel imbued with love whatsoever, and definitely where you're not receiving love in return, those are things that are going to be challenging you to let go. Or not necessarily to let go of the resistance. In other words, it's on you to find the love that you can put into that, if that makes sense. So we know this, right? Only we have the power to change our reality. Our reality is essentially a reflection of the universe back to us. So whatever our emotions are, whatever our feelings are, whatever our experiences are, they are simply projections of the chaos or the flow taking place up here. And they, every experience is there to guide us, to awaken us, to bring us closer to our divine purpose. So wherever there is that resistance within you, you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to feel frustrated about it. I mean, you might inevitably feel frustrated about it, but you don't have to punish yourself for it. You just have to accept that there's something in that for you. Excuse the endless back and forth outside. It's the beginning of the month, so there must be people moving in or there's a disturbing energy around me right now outside, and it's manifesting in that way. Anyway, so you have that aspect, and I certainly can see where that is in my life. Surprisingly, it's not quite as big as I would have expected, but I think that's because, to be perfectly honest with you, I've been eliminating things that I don't feel love from for quite some time in much more drastic ways. So perhaps that's why it's more integrated. And that may be the case for you too. If it isn't, hang in there. You can do it. It just is a process. And these aspects, like the one that we just discussed, they tend to have a knack of doing that for us. Sorry, I've got work stuff coming in. Part two of these interesting dynamics. Friday we have. I gotta get my head, and like honestly, like I feel like my head is full of air right now. Which is why I'm just letting whatever flow through me. So I need to just surrender to that. So Friday we have a square. It is the sun squaring Uranus, whatever you want to call it. Do not do that, mister. I'm warning you. We've had to move beyond the cute phase because Enzo's a little nuts at the moment. So the sun squaring Uranus, pretty intense because Uranus is tension, a lot of tension. And, the sun is in Leo. I mean, I should have prefaced that with the other aspect too. When there's wherever the sun is, astrologically obviously makes a difference too. So this is all about love. The sun is love. Leo is love. And, the first decan of Leo is about self-love. So it's all about coming into that understanding and that embracing of self-love. And then now we are moving into the second decan, which is about how that manifests in the world around us, how that fits into our world, and how we integrate self-love into a dynamic that feeds and nurtures our experiences in the outside world. So with oppositions and squares, it really does bring attention to those areas where we're not having an easy time doing that. So with Uranus, I mean, Uranus is electricity, it's sudden change, it's revolution, it's major shifts. So this is an important week because of this, among many other aspects, but these are the two predominant ones that we want to keep our eye on and be aware of so that we can integrate the energies as much as possible. So that square is going to, again, it depends on what part of your life you're chart will be affected by. I can't speak. It's really terrible. I hope you're making sense of all this. I mean, on days like this, usually it takes me about 3 hours to properly wake up, and I'm about I'm at the 2 hour mark. Um, it's hard for really. It's I mean, Uranus is really hard to really to describe because it comes through in very, very different ways for each of us. And of course, these outer planets also have an influence on the world around us as much as they do on a personal level. In fact, it's more with this kind of an aspect. It's the world around us that is the catalyst for the shift within. And from the cards that I've pulled, I have a strong feeling that this isn't so much about, something huge happening in our lives externally and then us having to integrate that somehow and pick up the pieces. It's more a shift based upon how the circumstances around us are. Um, and how, we may get to that point where we've had enough of certain things and we're really pushed to the edge of figuring out how to resolve something for ourselves, knowing perfectly well that a big part of that is that, yeah, let's say, for example, you are at your wit's end with your job or with a person in your life, but you can't necessarily, um, I mean, you're not going to quit your job probably because that's not really what the energy is all about. And you're not going to break up with this person or get this person out of your life. You have to find, through your mastery of self love, a way to integrate that in order to peacefully defuse or neutralize the tension with love. Understand what I mean? So I think that pretty much covers the what I wanted to talk about. Aside from that, there's lots of like beautiful energy out there. So don't worry, it's not like some big dark ugly week. But it really is about how we treat ourselves and how we subsequently experience the way we treat ourselves in our experience of the world outside. So if you're in a constant state of frustration, then that's going to manifest in your experiences elsewhere. If you're in a constant state of judgment, you will feel judged. And the purpose of that is to bring your attention to that so that you can change that within, because you don't want to feel that way, because that's like the opposite of self love, right? I mean, because we're just literally at the very beginning of this second deck, and that's going to, it's a learning process. The next, like, few steps of this of degrees are going to allow us to shift into more mastery of that. Okay, let's look at our cards. So I'm going to start this week with our Spirit Animal Oracle card, because we haven't really started with that in a while. This one just kept wanting to show its face, so Surrender Now, Moth Spirit number 39. The oracle message of Moth Spirit is the following. Moth Spirit asks, what is guiding you right now? Are you in alignment with Spirit or pursuing something or someone with so much tenacity that it has become a compulsion or an addiction? Are you so intoxicated by a potential relationship or opportunity that you can't think straight? And let me also add that given the context of what we were just talking about, it's not necessarily even going after something. It can be the idea of getting rid of something or the frustration that we have with something that we become intoxicated by and obsessed with, right? And then it's like everything that we do is a result is in conjunction with that. It's like the food, you've had a bad day at work and it's like been like months like that. You're going to feel that in your food that you eat. You're going to feel that in the way that you treat your body. You're not going, you're not surrendering to the flow of life. You're resisting. You're trying to control it. You're trying to do it based upon your egoic perspective, not on your transcendental spiritual perspective. Hard work and dedication are virtues, and love, of course, is a beautiful thing. When Moth Spirit appears, it is time to consider if you have gone over the edge in a relentless pursuit. Workaholism, overeating, perfectionism, or addiction to certainty, or even to a person may be your current vice. The form of your addiction does not matter so much as awareness of the consequences of remaining persistent when moderation is needed. Let go of your excessive energy by channeling it in more than one direction. The fire burns hot, and you do not want to be engulfed by your passion to the exclusion of all the other pursuits that matter to you. Now is a time for surrender and radical acceptance so that your drive does not cause you to flee or fight. Spirit wants you to release your need for certainty and control so that you can relax into a more balanced way of using your moth spirit energy. Banish the shoulds and musts so that you can enjoy what is as you allow for what might be, right? And here's your protection message. If you're really struggling with, well, these things are all interwoven, but, yin and yang can get a bit confusing with these types of things because opposites don't really exist so much when we're moving out of duality. They sort of become, when we're struggling, they become like a mosaic. That's how I experience it. And then you have to kind of really sit with yourself and figure it out, right? Moth spirit can be intense, and honesty about your own compulsive tendencies is needed right now. It is too easy to switch from one addiction to another, distracting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty and the thoughts and emotions that arise when you aren't single-mindedly pursuing a goal. Moth spirit calls to you to practice moderation in all things and recognize when you think that you are headed towards the light, but are really heading into a fire that will cause burnout. Why are you so resistant to letting up? Could you be avoiding difficult emotions you need to feel and release? I know that's the case. I'm going to read that again for you. Why are you so resistant to letting up? Could you be avoiding difficult emotions you need to feel and release? Now is the time to do a fearless inventory so that your addictive tendencies can be toned down and rechanneled into enthusiastic activity and moderation. You are not a machine. Listen to Moth Spirit's message that a change is needed to support your well-being. Maybe deep down you know you have become too attached to something or someone. Let go of your need to control the outcome and allow yourself to remember the many ways you want to channel your energy to relationships, to work, to giving to others, to self-care, and to all the other pursuits you value. So there you have it. That's like, I hear nothing but like, deal with your resistance, deal with your issues of control, deal with understanding that when you do address these behaviors or thought patterns, that it's not to eliminate them entirely. Mastery takes time. It is a gradual process. You cannot, some people can just like go cold turkey, but I don't necessarily know that that's like, even that healthful, because the truth of the matter is that there's a reason why you got into those habits or that way of thinking or that attitude. And so you need to figure out why and how, and and when you recognize the dynamics, then you figure out ways to transcend them, right? And you have to be patient with yourself in order to do that. Excuse me. Yeah, so I would say that's pretty clear. Then I will read our Sacred Destiny Oracle card of the week. Again, all completely on the money here. Flow. It's the only card that wanted to come out from this deck. So, the meandering river wishes to tell us that there are times to hold on tight to the shore, and there are times to enter the flow. Notice where life is going and move in that direction. Watch for signs and follow them. Don't resist. When you go with the flow, your life force expands and healing on all levels abounds. This is also the time to release old limiting patterns, forgive, and let go of the need to be right about your beliefs. If you aren't feeling the smooth currents of life, it might mean that you're being self-critical or judgmental. When you enter the flow with gratitude and love, you will find blessings surrounding you. You will enter into a state of grace and healing will abound. All of this sounds exactly like the combination of Sun opposing Saturn and Sun squaring Uranus in Leo season. Go figure. The universe is perfect. And even when I'm foggy and sleepy, if I surrender, the clarity comes. See? I love when the universe decides to make an example of me in real time. I would have resisted that in the past too. I'd have felt humiliated and frustrated by that. But not anymore. Okay. We got 2 cards from the Sufi Wisdom Oracle. I thought there was only one, and they kind of look, actually, when you put them side by side like this, you can kind of see that they flow too, right? Isn't that interesting? Let's start with this card. Beyond the Ego. Again, I feel like this is just like a fine-tuning of all of this message. It's like an unraveling, and we're getting closer and closer to the core of understanding what this intense energy portal is for us. Because that's what I have to remind you of. Remember, we talked about it last week. We're coming up to Lionsgate, 8th of August. This is a big energetic upgrade portal for us, so don't miss out. No pressure, but it's for you. There's only so many revolutions of the sun that we make in this body, and so the quicker we move ourselves along through these very intrinsic, important, but fundamental aspects of the journey, the more okay, not there. Come on, move it along, bitch. What are you doing? I love you, but honestly, I'm not playing right now. It's been exhausting. It's because he still has his balls, and I think he's starting to turn into like Jekyll and Hyde. I forgot what I was saying, but anyway, let's just read the card. Focus on that image, because I think it'll give you insight as I'm reading it. Beyond the ego, surrender to the flow of life. Make me drunk so I forget about I. Ruin me so I plunge into the house of ruin. I will then become free from the tricks of life and relieved from the duality of the world. Dissolved into nothingness, I will rise above heaven. Deftly and fearlessly, I will demolish my ego. Why should I be stuck in the abyss of life's darkness? Why should I remain like a worm in a cocoon? Iraqi. To be truly happy is to be free from attachment to the physical realities of life. Reaching this state requires you to disconnect from the ego self and move beyond thoughts and mindfulness as much as possible. The moment you are free from your ego self, you begin to feel the light soothing your soul. The glow of light will shine from your eyes, and your moments will become joyous. It's not shining from my eyes right now. This oracle is infusing you with a heightened feeling of weightlessness or soaring towards the light. It is doing so to reduce your attachment to the ego by awakening your soul. Again, I should have held this up for you because I think that you can see that in this, because this is the universe here, right? Replace selfish or burdening thoughts by visualizing something you'd like to happen in the future or replaying a scene from your favorite movie or book in your mind. By giving your mind a rest from too much thought, you will make room for the feeling of love and affection. Oh, dear one, trust that love longs to set you free by showering you with the secret nectar of existence. Let go of selfish thoughts because they obstruct the deeper mysteries from being revealed to your heart in unspoken messages. Without selfish thoughts, you will surrender more easily and be free to choose the path of love that will change you and make you fresh again. This will be a gift, your heritage and destiny from love. And your mantra is, I am surrendering into the generous flow of life. The seeds of love germinate and sprout inside my heart and bloom into unlimited creative expression. Let's say that together because it is a mantra. Are you kidding me? Well, you're getting a nice close-up of somebody's face right now. It looks like a monster. Don't do that. No. Oh, God, get down. I am surrendering into the generous flow of life. The seeds of love germinate and sprout inside my heart and bloom into unlimited creative expression. Our other Sufi wisdom oracle card is this beautiful card. Celebrate life. Make your life a celebration. Okay, I better read that. And it is true that it's just about perspective because, I'm about to have to go to work on a Sunday, no less. And it's like, how am I going to embrace that day? If I celebrate life, then I experience everything in that light, right? Okay, here we go. Celebrate life, make your life a celebration. Praise to God for his bounty. Every breath we breathe in prolongs life. When we exhale, it refreshes our soul. So there are two blessings in every breath we take, and we should be grateful for each blessing. Sadi. Sufis do not celebrate birthdays or wedding anniversaries. They celebrate achievements. They take every opportunity to celebrate even small achievements to encourage each other. It is their pleasure to attend joyful events and celebrate being together. In this poem, Sadi suggests that we celebrate the gift of life itself by being grateful for every breath we take. The oracle's message is to have gratitude for all that you have, whether it is positive and a blessing to you or a negative experience which challenges you. It is encouraging you to pay attention to your needs and to have plenty of fun and share pleasant experiences. There is so much to be thankful for right now, and the more you focus on your blessings, the more likely you are to find yourself on the receiving end of the generosity and benevolence of the universe. Dear one, the road to thankfulness lies in the flow through your own soul. Gratitude can transform an ordinary day into a day of thanksgiving. Contentment in life comes when you turn routine jobs into works of joy and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. Well, thanks for doubling up on that message for me, universe, because obviously I needed to hear that, as do you probably. Here's our second mantra. I am blessed and I thank God for every day and everything that happens to me. I give thanks for the light, for my life, and for my strength. And I give thanks for the joy of living. Should we say that again together? Okay. I am blessed and I thank God for every day and everything that happens to me. I give thanks for the light, for my life, and for my strength. And I give thanks for the joy of living. Beautiful. Okay, so what do we have here in terms of our cards? How do I want to do this? Okay, I'm going to read the Osho Zen Tarot as the conclusions. I'm going to put that there because it's sort of going to give us the insight about this whole process. So I pulled 6 tarot cards, 3 primary ones and 3 clarifiers. Clarifiers being from the Rider-Waite deck and the main cards being from the Botticelli Tarot. So this is just basically a description of us, the process, and the outcome. So here's us, Queen of Swords, in our power and our truth. Of course, what we have to remember is the Queen of Swords has 2 sides. The Queen of Swords can be in mastery of her emotions and her thoughts, and therefore she's able to use, I want to say logic, but I don't just mean logic, I mean intellect, um, for her good, for her expansion, for the expansion of the world around her, um, in a knowingness, in a mindfulness, um, in a directness, or there is the lower frequency energy of Queen of Swords, which is that she can be a total fucking bitch, you know? And defensive, and uses the truth as a weapon. And when we come from a defensive place, when we're not in flow, that's what we do. When we find ourselves confronted with something that we're not in control of, our ego triggers us into feeling that we need to react defensively, right? And psychologically speaking, that can come out in a multitude of different behaviors because it depends on what our traumas have been, how we compensated for them, the types of personalities that we were on the receiving end of in those traumas, you know? So you have to analyze yourself in those behaviors. And at this point on the journey, I'm pretty sure you can pinpoint those things relatively easily, right? So our clarifier on that, 5 of Cups. So of course this is what's going to determine which variation of that Queen of Swords energy comes out. Are you focused on the losses? Are you focused on the feeling of emptiness from what isn't there from the past that you feel that you wish that you still had? It's a form of like negative nostalgia, really, isn't it? To not see the 2 cups here, to not see the bridge in the background that can lead him or her to a destination. It's getting in our own way, you know? So that's where we have to be focused on not falling into. Those are bad habits we need to move out of, is falling into self-pity or focusing on the negative to the degree that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to experience the positive. It's always there. The light is always there in the dark. It's just if you're focused on the dark and not on the light, that's the experience you have. And of course, that just propagates exponentially. Our experience out in the world this week, again, flow, surrender, celebrate. You know, we've got surrender twice there in flow, so in our oracle card, so it's a pretty strong message there. Plus we talked about the astrology. So when we see the Hanged Man in this position, this is about taking ownership of the process and actually seeing that we've voluntarily put ourselves in the position that we are in order to observe our behaviors, to observe the experience that we have, because there's a greater lesson in it. And this is the time that we're going to have the opportunity to finalize and integrate that message, whatever that is for you. And the clarifier on it was the 6 of Cups. And so with that clarifier, we're talking about, again, it's interesting because we have 2 variations on nostalgia. We have the clarifier in the 5 of Cups, which is where it's destructive, where it holds us in a pattern related to the past. And there's a stubbornness to that, right? Whereas this, with the hangman, is retrieving that joy in our past experience, not so that we can go back in and relive it and experience it from a non-integrated perspective, as if we're an outsider trying to re-experience the source of the nostalgia. This is about the integration of it, because this is the inner child with the inner parent. And this is like the gift of being able to say, hey, you're going to be okay. This is great. Sorry, I have to look up my phone because it's related to. Oh, fuck. um, this is going to be very interesting because I literally have to go right now for work. So I'm going to upload this and I'm going to do the rest of this reading for you as a part 2. Up to you whether you want to tune in or not.